Hey everyone, Jodie here. Welcome back to the channel. I'm currently with my cat in the background. She's just popped up, so hopefully she'll behave. But yeah, let's get right into the video. So today I wanted to talk about how working late can actually cost you. It can cost you in many different ways, and I wanted to just go right into this. It really made me think when a colleague of mine was staying very late at work, and even though he was getting paid a lot of money, it made me realize he wasn't getting any overtime at all for the extra hours he was putting into work. And also his body was being affected, his health and everything else. So I really wanted to have a chat about this and hopefully make you guys realize that maybe working harder is not the smartest thing for your mind, body, soul, but to actually try and work a little bit smarter instead. So let's go into the very first topic. So I want to talk about cost. Now, if you are in that example that I just mentioned, spending a lot of hours at work, 9 times out of 10, you are not getting overtime. Okay, maybe you have a salary on 50 grand and your contracted hours are 9 to 5. How many times have you had to work really late till 7, 8, 9? Or maybe, your hours are absolutely crazy. If you're a solicitor, for example, they tend to work to midnight or past midnight. Or maybe you're a director of a company and there's a lot of pressure on your back to finish projects on time or to, delegate, yes, but still carry the stress and be in the office for hours and hours and hours. So obviously with this, there's a cost implication of not getting paid overtime. But also 9 times out of 10, if you're staying late in the office, you will be getting takeaways to the office. Okay, so you'll be getting, your curry, your salad, your whatever delivered to your desk in a way. So you may not be getting breaks in, but you're actually spending more money on food, which of course can be detrimental to your health if it's, very unhealthy takeaways, but also to your wallet. Another element of cost of when you actually work late is taxis. So if you're a woman in particular, I know for myself when I work in the city, not so much now. I've, definitely put boundaries in on timings and everything like that. But if you're working at the office till 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock on this, big project, you will most likely have to get a taxi home because you may not want to, walk home in the dark. It's really important to be safe, of course. Or you may not want to be on a tube at that time, when there's a lot of drunk people around and you just, don't want to have to deal with that. So yeah, in some cases companies will pay you for the taxis and they will, expense it, but not a lot of companies do. I've definitely been in ones where they had a policy where they would not reimburse you for taxis if you worked late, which is kind of a bonkers thing, but that can also really affect your wallet because you're working late, you're not getting paid extra, then you have to pay extra for taxis to get home to then go back into the office the next morning. So it can be a bit of a killer. Another element of cost is if you are working a lot of hours in the office and maybe at the weekend you just feel so mentally drained that you really want to spoil yourself and be like, hey, my week was so busy, let's go out for dinner, let's go get some drinks, let's splurge our money some way because you want to feel good, you want those dopamine, you want to feel like it was worth it, spending all that time in the office. So it might be a very work hard, play hard mentality, which I can totally understand. But if you're, spending all this time on and money on taxis, takeaways potentially during the week in the office when you're stuck there, and then you're eating out at the weekend, want to go to restaurants and maybe buy yourself a nice dress because you feel so crappy, it can all really add up in terms of cost. And this can even go as far as when you've worked really hard and you've achieved all your targets, you might get a big bonus at the end of the year, like a lot of these corporate companies do. And you might, instead of saving it, be like, I've worked so hard for this, I deserve, a Louis Vuitton handbag, or I deserve to go on a holiday. And yeah, you probably do deserve that. But like the work that you're putting into it, you may not see that money in your bank account for very long. You might want to use it elsewhere. So that means you may actually feel poorer, even though you're working more hours. Another element to talk about when working late can actually cost you, it can of course cost you your health. So I've already spoken about the takeaway element of, not having very good food, you just want something quick. But it could also mean that, hey, maybe you don't have time to go to the gym anymore because you've got, so many hours in the office. And when you finally clock off at midnight, you're not going to go to the gym then, you're tired, of course. So that can obviously affect your health as well, especially, and your wallet if you've paid for a gym membership, but you may not have the time to use it. And this might be obvious, but another implication of, pushing your body too much at work is you can get burnout really quickly. You're not a machine, you're not a robot, but if you're expected to, lay on all these hours because all your other colleagues are, you're more likely that you're going to get burnt out and stressed. And obviously that's such a big health factor in working late that you really have to think about. And on top of that, because you may be a smoker, that's maybe how you de-stress. That obviously, of course, can affect your health in later years. So there's so many areas that can build up now when you're young that will really affect you later in life. And the last element I want to talk about in terms of working late and how it can cost you, it can cost you your time, of course, but obviously not just your own time, but time with other people. If you're in a relationship and you're spending God knows how long in the office, you may not get to see them as much or connect with them. Or same with family, maybe you won't have the time to deal with them at the weekend and to catch up with them and to have fun times with them because you're just so exhausted. So the time element, yes, your own time is taken away, but potentially your family and your other half would be affected by this too. So I really want to talk about, next steps on this and how can you kind of get over this. I think the main thing is boundaries. There was a recent law, I think it was in Canada, where it would actually be, not against the law to not respond to your manager after hours. And I think this is a really hilarious, but thing that's really important, especially if you're working in the corporate world. It's important to put boundaries in. Realistically, if you're on a salary, you're not going to get paid overtime for all the extra hours that you're putting in. Yes, you may want a promotion down the line. Yes, you may want to jump the career ladder and fair play for that. But putting boundaries in is really important. And what I mean by that is, not having work emails on your personal phone, not having your manager have access to your personal phone to contact you. Not to give them your personal number. If you do have a work phone, don't look at it after you have clocked out. Don't be reading emails right before you go to bed. Put in these boundaries for yourself to really help you, wind down. And also, after COVID, a lot of people have been able to work from home, which is great, of course, and this will save you time on commuting. But also, people can get very stressed working from home. So make sure, of course, you're putting boundaries in, but maybe go for a little walk at lunchtime. Step away from the screen, step away from the emails and the chaos, and just, maybe go for a walk with your family if you live with a family, or, maybe just go make something healthy and step away from the screen. Put in your own structure so that it'll make you feel a little bit better. And the last kind of thing that I was thinking about was to think before you act. And what I mean by this is, especially if you work in finance like I do currently, or in any sort of data analytic role, to think before you act. And what I mean by this is oftentimes in, data related roles or finance roles, is you'll be bombarded by people to do a lot of urgent things, or you might get swallowed up into different projects. What I like to do is really think about, if someone is asking me for a piece of work, what is the answer they're trying to find? So really kind of speak with them directly, if it's a director or CEO or whoever it is, and really understand what the aim of doing this dashboard for them, of doing these charts, what are they trying to find? Because I used to find in the past that I would straight away start working on something if someone gave me a task, but maybe I would figure out how to build a dashboard, as I was building it, rather than having a clear plan that would take me less time, really making it very simple for the person who has asked for this, request. So maybe have a bit of a think. Planning ahead is also really important. Maybe draw things out so that you know what you're going to tackle and you spend less time with kind of errors and trying to find your way. So hopefully that's provided a bit of insight. I think it's a really interesting topic that people don't talk about enough, about how it can affect your body, your mind, your wallet when you work late, and that we aren't actually getting rewarded for these things. So maybe have a think the next time you really feel like you have to stay in the office late. Of course you might have to, and that's fine. But remember to think about boundaries and how you want your life to look and how your relationships are around you, as well as your wallet. Are you spending a lot on taxis, takeaways, splurging bonuses away and not being able to save? These can all be really detrimental when they're put together. So have a bit of a think your side. And thanks for listening, guys. I'm really new channel, so please subscribe if you want to hear more about personal finance related things. This one is slightly different to what I usually talk about, but there is obviously that cost and personal finance element to it. So so that's it for me, and I'll see you guys soon. Thanks guys, bye.